All right, here we go. Episode 1, the Bros Sports Podcast on the Film Bros Productions Podcast Network. Hey everyone, I'm Derek Hill, and I have my cohorts with me today for episode 1 of this endeavor. It's Jeremy Lightfinger. Jeremy, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, Derek. Yeah, this has been in the development phase for a couple of years now, and it feels really good to finally get this into motion.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, 3 years ago, I wanted to start this YouTube channel. I wanted to start doing podcasts, and there's no better way to start than week 3 of the NFL season instead of week 1.
Oh yeah.
But also on my panel of consistent people,
Finally,
already cutting in before I can introduce him,
that's the plan.
is Sean Kelly. Sean, how are you?
How you doing, Derek? We're doing fantastic. Ready to discuss some really exciting things.
See, in my book, though, I think you're doing less than fantastic because the way that I saw you eat your Fig Newtons the other day really bothered me, if I'm being completely honest with you.
You don't understand the way the Fig Newtons work. Like, you get them in a package, right? You get them in a package. There's one on top of the other. I eat them the way where I will open the package, and then I'll just eat both at the same time. I don't, like, separate them and then eat one and then eat another one. I just, eat two at a time. I'm like, they're not that big, Derek. They're not like ham and cheese sandwiches.
There was no weirder sight in my life than when I saw you holding that package in your hand, and it was just two. They both had the same bite marks in them. Like, even like with a Pop-Tart, I'll break them in half, and then I'll eat it like 1/4 at a time. I don't think I've ever seen anybody open up a Pop-Tart or a Fig Newton and just bite into both of them like you did.
Oh, I always I always bite in the both Pop-Tarts too. What's the problem?
May I interject with a hot take?
Oh, I love hot takes.
Fig Newtons are gross, and I've only had one my entire life. And when I did, I think I was about 4 years old, I threw it up.
Okay.
Well,
that's
you're a gross person in general.
Okay.
Because you don't like Fig Newtons. So there you go.
Hey, I mean, everybody.
I want to
has
get
their own
back
opinion.
to your hot take, but before you interjected, Sean just admitted that he eats his Pop-Tarts the same way.
Why can't you?
I don't understand, like, how
It's there in the
you
package.
can ethically open it and say, oh, there's two here, I'll just bite it because it's in one
You
package.
save time by not taking them out of the package. I'm like, I don't put them on a plate and get a fork and knife and sit there and, like, really have a meal of it. Okay, I'm eating it on the run. You open the package, chomp, 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 done.
Do you also like bite into Kit Kat bars? Do you like break it off?
Oh, no, you go right into the Kit Kat bar, dude. You don't break off a Kit Kat bar. Those commercials are a joke.
See, I'm starting to figure out, Sean, that instead of savoring your food, you go more the it's here, so it's going in route.
I don't savor a Pop-Tart. I savor like a sirloin steak. Okay, like Pop-Tarts are not savory. Like, they're good. They're a good snack. They taste good, but it's not like I'm going to a 5-star restaurant ordering a Pop-Tart.
I feel like
I wasn't saying you would do that.
You just like
but I
look, you
mean-
like Pop-Tarts are not a delicacy, Derek.
I feel like as a middle class person, you should savor every single morsel of your food because there are less fortunate people out there.
No, I'm not saying that I don't enjoy and or savor the Pop-Tart. I'm just saying I don't treat the Pop-Tart like it's a meal. I treat it like it's a snack.
All right, fair enough.
In all honesty, though, the edginess that comes behind eating your Pop-Tarts and Fig Newtons just all at once like that, that's the kind of edginess that I would see from Gardner Minshew II.
Oh, what a great
man.
transition into the NFL, which
like
is what
that.
we're supposed to
All
be
right, well,
talking
for the
about.
future, don't mention my great transitions. They're just supposed to be great transitions, but so now we have to deal with this.
What do you mean?
So now we have
they
the
to be
we have the
top notch?
transition out of you saying, "Oh, great transition," which we can't do. So Gardner Minshew yesterday fortified himself as probably the most fun rookie in this current rookie class to watch.
100%, Derek. This guy is an actual. I feel like he was genetically engineered to come and just become not only a star in the league, but become kind of a meme. Like, he comes out here, he's doing fantastic in the regular season. Obviously, 73.9 completion percentage, as well as throwing, 5 touchdowns already in his first 3 games. I mean, it's really amazing. But the kind of stats this guy is, like, this guy just seems like he owned college. Like, you want you to look at him, and he just looks like Uncle Rico from Napoleon Dynamite.
Yeah, I haven't looked up pictures of him in college, but if he rolled around with those flowing locks,
Yeah,
and that mustache, just with the headband and everything, like when I think of when the way Gardner Minshew looks is how I think of a cliche like high school lacrosse player.
oh, 100% there, yeah.
But he's rolling out here on the football field. He doesn't even care. He's running all over the place. He's passing over people. He's hit. Also, probably the best name in the NFL.
By far. Yeah.
Oh, Minshew? That's a fantastic
It's
name.
not even arguable. And not only that, but he's throwing to the second best name in the NFL, DJ Chark Jr.
Oh, that's
Catching
a hot
touchdowns like crazy these last couple weeks.
Hot take.
But I was really high on Nick Foles. But now I feel like he has reason for concern, even with that big contract.
No, of course.
He got chased out of Philadelphia even after winning a Super Bowl because of the fact that Carson Wentz was waiting in the wings, and Carson Wentz is their quote-unquote franchise quarterback. Me personally, I would have brought back Nick Foles. I mean,
no.
Wentz still has
No.
the ability to be a top quarterback.
Wentz is a top quarterback, still, in my opinion.
I'm sure we'll be talking about that a lot
I'm
this
just
season.
saying. I think Nick Foles was the way. You had to let him go. Okay, he came in. He was your backup QB. He won the Super Bowl MVP. Like, you signed Carson. Carson is this team. You put him on here. You gave him this contract. You have to give him some time to develop. Obviously, Nick Foles, and I think you don't get a lot of other people that can do what Nick Foles did. Obviously, coming in, and he was so great. And even for two seasons, the next season he actually also went pretty far with that team. So I just don't think that. I think you gave Carson the contract, you gave him his spot, and it's his time to flourish. And I think it was a really fantastic move by Eagles management to keep Carson Wentz in, and I think it's going to pay off big because I think that we are going to be Super Bowl contenders for the next couple of years.
I kind of agree with Sean, and I know that my football knowledge isn't as good as yours, Derek, but did they end up trading Foles, or did they just let him walk in free agency?
They let him walk.
Okay. I do think that them deciding to stick with Wentz was the right decision, just because, I mean, it didn't come to fruition, but there was always that possible scenario where they could have used Foles as trade bait to get better players. I know that didn't happen, but I feel like that was planned, but it just didn't happen.
Was something about the Peterson-Foles
they
just ideology of them
They-
working together, where it seemed everything that they did was the right move, even in games that they lost.
Yeah, they definitely clicked though, and I mean he's a Philadelphia legend forever. No matter where he goes, he's got the trophy there, and I think it's really good by Philadelphia to move on, because I think it's easy to get trapped into that. He's so good, he won the Super Bowl, he almost got us to the wild card, like he's there, and he almost got to another one the year after that, but. Like, honestly, personally, I think that Nick Foles, if they had kept him, I don't think he would have worked well in the future. I think, honestly, and I think he's a fantastic QB. I just don't think it's for a long time in Philadelphia.
But tying it back to Minshew real quick, and why Foles has cause for concern. Minshew comes in, nobody even knows who he is.
He's an anomaly.
Despite the team now being 1-2, I would argue that if it wasn't for Doug Marrone not playing the hot hand and just having Minshew run it in last week, that they would have been 2-1 beating the Texans out last week. Instead, he handed it off to Fournette at the goal line when Minshew had that long drive. But 5 touchdowns, 1 interception. Last night, he was 20 for 30 for 204 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Ridiculous.
He just doesn't turn the ball over, and you don't need to throw for 300-plus yards like these elite quarterbacks do.
No.
If you have a good defense and you're not turning the ball over.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that, and I think we're living right now in this huge quarterback, this big quarterback time where you got a lot, and it all goes down to the money anyways, right? Like, in the end, they're getting paid a lot of money, and I think someone that you come in and you see like Minshew, it's not someone like Aaron Rodgers, who his trademark is the Hail Mary. His trademark is the Hail Mary.
Oh, you mean him getting lucky on Hail Marys?
Yeah,
I would not call that his
that's just your
trademark.
take. But you have Drew Brees, who also throws like a ton of bombs all the time, so I think it's really interesting to see where he goes. I need it for a couple more weeks. I need him to be like last night, Minshew, for the next 3 to 4 weeks for it to really solidify. Because this could be something where he does good for the couple 3 weeks and then he doesn't do good. And then maybe he kind of just falls out of the fold, which is what I hope doesn't happen, because he needs to stay strong until Nick Foles is going to come back. Because I don't think Nick Foles isn't out for the whole season.
He's out for like 11 weeks.
Yeah.
So if they're playoff contenders, he could still start. But if Gardner is playing well enough where they are playoff contenders at that point, would you put in a quarterback who hasn't played all season?
Oh no, I think you stay. I think you stay with Gardner. I think it's, and then how funny would this be, where the roles are reversed, in like the Eagles when they won the Super Bowl, right? Like Carson Wentz goes the whole season. Now obviously Nick Foles got injured before Carson Wentz did, in the season he got injured. But imagine having that same problem where Nick Foles is the theoretical Carson Wentz of the Jaguars. Like, how are you going to make that distinction? Personally,
that's a good point.
Yeah, like I think you got to stay with Gardner Minshew at that point. Everybody's gelling with him. Everybody is loving him, and if he's going to take him that far, you got to take him out to the end. And I don't think anybody on that team, including Nick Foles, is going to disagree with that.
I think last night's win, it was a big statement not only for the Jaguars getting their first win of the year, showing off what Minshew can do, showing off what the defensive line can do. I mean, to be fair, the Titans' offensive line is absolutely terrible. So, I mean, anybody could have done that.
Don't worry, you can tell that to my fantasy.
But the Titans... By the way, you were complaining this morning about Derrick Henry not having a good day. 44 yards and a touchdown. What is that, 12 points?
That's 11 points.
As long as you get double digits from a running back, you're solid.
Yeah. Look, I was just being really pissy, and I was just annoyed that they lost that hard. I really kind of thought he was going to show up. And I know there's a lot of people that think Derrick Henry is like a 1 month, really great game, one time a month guy. I think he's a fantastic running back. The way he was being projected against the Jaguars was that he was going to overrun them. Like I thought we were going to.
See, I don't know where you saw those projections. Because
well, blame the NFL Network, because I watch the NFL Network.
This is like a pretty powerful defensive line, and the defense is really good, which is why it was such a statement win. Not only are you now tied with the Titans, because the Titans came out and they looked like they were going to be contenders, and now they have back-to-back losses. But
this
now,
is just the first 3 games of the season.
I know, but it's those storylines. Mariota's struggling. The offensive line is struggling. The defense is still pretty solid. But I think looking at the Jaguars' defense, this was a big win in trying to keep Jalen Ramsey in Jacksonville.
You're not keeping it. I thought he got released. I don't think they're keeping him, right?
He played last night. He had 9 tackles and a forced fumble.
How funny is that?
9 tackles and a forced fumble. So he hasn't given up on playing.
No, I don't think he seems like he's the guy that won't give up no matter where he is. And obviously, I think he's moving on. I think his agent wants to put him in the direction of another team. Obviously, go Birds.
Do you guys believe the rumors that they're going to try and trade for him?
I would not be surprised if they did, but I don't think he goes anywhere now. I think the owner of the Jaguars, we already know that he likes Ramsey a lot, and he's willing to give him big money. I also think that if Doug Marrone sits him down and says, hey, I think we have something here, we might be a winning team, because that's the thing, is that Jalen just wants to be on a winning team. So if they win last night and then say next week they win again, is he still going to want out?
Yeah. In my opinion, yes, because I think that I don't think it matters. Like, even if they're on a hot streak, I think he wants to play where he feels the most comfortable. And obviously, with the comments that came out a couple days ago, he doesn't seem comfortable in Jacksonville. He doesn't want to be in Jacksonville. And I don't think a couple of really exciting wins are going to keep him on that team. I think like a lot of players, don't want to sit in purgatory on a team they don't like just because there's a chance. And I think he has to understand that until the Jaguars have a couple more really exciting wins, I don't think they're really contenders. And I think they need some more wins for that. I don't think they're a team like the Patriots, to where it's already pretty much confirmed that the Patriots should run their way all the way up the ladder.
No, the Patriots are the 2020 Super Bowl champions.
Okay, get it. See, no. That's a great, fantastic point. Because you say that right now, that's like already a team that's a lock. Like, the Jaguars aren't a lock. So I think that's something where he's got to get out now. Because if he waits a couple more games, he might as well just stay there.
Well, this is where I want to bring Jeremy in on this, because I know, Jeremy, you and I were talking yesterday, and I wanted to bring it up on the podcast, is that a lot of these veterans are just deciding, let me go to a winning team, trade me now, or I'm not gonna play for you anymore. I don't want to be here anymore. We saw it with Brown. He didn't want to be on the Steelers, and then he didn't want to be with Oakland, and now he's on the Patriots. Is everybody's end game just to be on the Patriots just so that they can win the Super Bowl? And I think part two of the question is that a lot of like media heads are talking about whether or not this kind of culture in the NBA is now bleeding over into the NFL.
Well, I really don't. I severely hope that the NFL is not evolving into like almost every player's mindset is, oh, let me join the Patriots for like a free ring, because that's basically, it reminds me a lot of a couple years ago when DeMarcus Cousins signed with the Warriors because he thought that that was an easy path to a ring, even though they lost, which is a funny part. These NFL players, they don't seem to realize that the NFL and the NBA are two completely different leagues, and the way to conduct business in either one is completely different. On an NBA team, there's a 15-man roster. Each player on the team is infinitely more valuable than like an NFL player to an NFL team, just because the rosters in the NFL are much, much bigger. So like if, let's just say like LeBron is like demands a trade or something like that, the owners and the GMs in the NBA are vastly like more bound to, I guess, grant his request rather than like somebody like Antonio Brown or Jalen Ramsey, because there are many more players on their level than there is like on LeBron's level. Like being like a top 10 player in the NBA, I feel like it's more significant than being like a top player in the NFL.
Yeah, but you just said you think NBA executives are more open than the NFL ones, because it was kind of contradicting. So I'm a little confused. So if LeBron requests for a trade, they're more open to doing that. But I don't understand why. They have less people on their roster, and you're basically giving up your star player who's selling jerseys, who's filling the stadium seats.
You know, I think you got me on that one. I have to think about that.
That's why it's a really interesting conversation, and it's a shame that it's going in this direction.
Yeah, it really is. I don't know. It just basically proves the point that like the NBA is great and all, and there's basically no off season with all the storylines with free agency and
you're right on that one.
Stuff. But it's like it's bleeding into other sports, and it's changing the mindsets of other players in other sports. Like they think that they can act like NBA players when in reality they can't.
I like the comparison of the NBA player and the NFL player, because I think you see that you're right about that. That was a big thing in the NBA, where people would be going to these championship team. I don't think it's everybody with the Patriots. I don't think you're going to see them get a lot more people that are just like insane superstar. I don't think you get a Golden State Warriors type feel with the Patriots. Obviously, I think they have great players, but like they would need to add like two more like they would need to add like another Christian McCaffrey level player to the Patriots for them to start being like the Golden State Warriors. And obviously, I wish we had more players right now in the NFL that would focus into more of like a Damian Lillard type of feel. Someone who isn't picking, who is so good and could easily go to the Super Bowl winning or the NBA championship winning team, but sticks on his team and is now building a team around himself that, honestly, in my opinion, in a couple years will contend for a championship. So I would like to see that.
That's what people like Ramsey could do.
I would like to see him do that.
That is the Le'Veon Bell on the Jets.
I like that. That's why I love the Le'Veon Bell.
There's definitely another. That's the Emmanuel Sanders on the Broncos. There are multiple teams that have one superstar where if they did want to ask, they could probably get a trade. But it's that thing. It's that classic thing in sports where, out of respect, this team is paying you. You're under contract. Most of the time, because there's not a lot of trades in the NFL, you decided to be there. So that's why I'm not sure why Antonio Brown's situation has changed the mindset of a lot of superstars in this league.
I don't think it should. I think
the
that
Brown
guy's a joke.
situation he just didn't want to be traded to Oakland. So sure, that's understandable. There's a lot about Antonio Brown we could probably talk negatively about. But the Jalen Ramsey situation is completely different.
No, of course. And I think that obviously, the original point was like him, oh, okay, is he going to stay with them a couple more games? I think that he wants out. I think he gets out no matter what. I think we need to start. That's why I kind of compared the Portland Trailblazers thing, because I think you need to look more into the future than the now. I think there's a lot of people that aren't thinking about that, and I think that's why you see Antonio Brown do that stuff where he's thinking in the now. He is not thinking in the future. He's signing a 1-year deal with the Patriots. I guarantee you, if he doesn't win a ring with them, he's moving. So
he's probably at the point where, like, a lot of people would just play for like financial security because it is a job. But Antonio Brown's at the point where he's had financial security for so long. Now he just wants to win, so he can be considered one of the greatest receivers ever.
And I think the stats, he's already on that way if he can continue. But I think, honestly, he gets a little bit watered down going to the Patriots. I don't think Bill Belichick's the guy that will only throw it to him. And Tom Brady's also the guy will not throw it just to Antonio Brown. And I think he's not going to be able to whine and complain, because I do think he's a child. But, like, I don't think he's going to be able to whine and complain on a team like the Patriots like he would on the Oakland Raiders. Like, imagine if he stayed with the Raiders and he wasn't getting thrown to. He could have a case.
He would have definitely been thrown to.
No, of course. Like, and that's why I'm saying he definitely would. But the Patriots are big enough to where they can be like, yeah, well, we're not throwing you that much this game. We have other receivers. We have running backs that we want to get to. We're the Patriots, so you really can't whine and complain. I think they're on a different level than the Raiders.
The Patriots like to say, we fit you into our playbook.
We don't
build our playbook around you.
That's right.
And that's probably why they've been so successful for the last 10 to 15 plus years.
That's why I was surprised when they picked him up, because I thought he was not going to gel well with that coach.
Because of the fact that they don't need him, but since they have him, they can blow out the Dolphins 1,000,000-0.
Yeah, well, don't get me started on how much I hate the Dolphins.
I just think, like, it's a shame that that Steelers team with Big Ben, Le'Veon Bell, and Antonio Brown, it's a shame that they separated, because, like, that much talent on offense, it's rare. And I feel like, they had some bad luck in the playoffs, like, just having a bad game and all, but I mean, it's been proven that, like, I would say that their biggest obstacle in their path to a Super Bowl is the Patriots. And it's been proven that the Patriots are beatable. I mean, the Eagles proved it a couple years ago in the Super Bowl, and there's been many other instances, but I feel like it kind of reminds me of that old Thunder team with Kevin Durant, Westbrook, and Harden.
Oh, the team that never was?
Yeah, it's just like there was so much like wasted potential. You know?
Yeah, like that. You're so right. That was such another team that should have won at least 2 to 3 rings.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's just, I think, the way that we're going, and also I think the pay scale is something that's also a huge part in where people are going to go these days. Because now I think what it is it's like a Jacob's ladder where everybody will just climb and climb and climb, no matter what. Who's the next guy that's going to come out in the next year and is going to say, I'm going to take a year off. Maybe I'll get paid a little bit more, pull a Le'Veon Bell and Antonio Brown. There's just so many storylines going on, and I think wrapped up into the whole price market of football players these days, I wouldn't be surprised if you see a lot more trades, a lot more forced trades in the next couple of years in the NFL.
I mean, and speaking of Ben Roethlisberger,
so sad, by the way.
Yeah, there's a lot of injuries going on around the NFL that are big, like, power injuries that could really affect seasons. But I think with Ben Roethlisberger and Drew Brees, these are 2 injuries where, well, with the Saints, I'm not really sure if it's for the better, but with how bad Ben Roethlisberger looked in those first 2 games and getting injured in the second one, it might be time. We'll start with the Steelers and then move on to the Saints. It might be time for the Mason Rudolph era in Pittsburgh. Now, I know Jeremy and I were talking about Mason Rudolph the other day. He didn't even know who he was. But this is a guy that was drafted
really don't know who he is either.
In the mid-rounds. And last year, Rowan Television Network, we did the draft special. Actually, it was 2 years ago now. Wow, I feel old. But
yeah, that was
I was
2 years ago.
very high on him being... I said that if Ben went down and Mason Rudolph had to be the starter, I was very high on him being a possible fantasy option. So just to give you guys some context about who he is, I can't remember what award it was, but he definitely won an award his senior year of college at Oklahoma State for playing quarterback, obviously.
Lots of good quarterbacks coming out of Oklahoma State. Go Sooners.
But in 13 games, he had a 65% completion percentage, 4,900 passing yards, as well as 37 touchdowns with 9 interceptions.
Now, this is college.
Yeah.
I just feel like there's so much of a difference between the college and the NFL.
Now, this is Division I college, though. I will say that.
No,
See,
obviously.
we are used to rolling out to these Rowan football games.
Oh, yeah, we're
falling
D3.
asleep
I'm like,
every week,
we got butter hands out there every week, but I just feel like I need to see a game. And I think he's a great option because I think there's a lot of great people coming out of college. But I think we're going to need to see him, and I believe in it, but he's got to gel with Juju, and he's got to gel with James Conner when he comes back from injury. And I think the quarterback is only as good as his team.
But I feel like we saw that when he came in last week. It was one of those things where in the huddle, you could tell that people were listening to him, and he was moving the ball down the field. I'm pretty sure if he didn't have a touchdown pass, he definitely led them to a touchdown drive in that game.
Let's just say, Big Ben's out for the season, right?
Yes.
Okay. Let's just say that Rudolph does okay, not amazing, not spectacular, just fine. Do you think that Mike Tomlin goes back to Big Ben at the start of next season, or do you think he sticks with Rudolph?
See, I don't know the mindset of Mike Tomlin enough for me to say this is definitely what Mike Tomlin would do. I feel like he's always gone the opposite way. I feel like he would put Big Ben back under center, but Mason Rudolph being quote-unquote okay, as you put it, would honestly be the fault of Ben Roethlisberger, because when he was drafted, he was asked about whether or not Ben was going to kind of take a leadership role and put him under his wing, and he said he wanted nothing to do with it. So he has not been kind of training Mason at all. They kind of look like they had similar playing styles, because I'm sure that Mason was looking at film since he's been on the team for 2 years now.
No, yeah, that's really kind of surprising. I would think somebody as such a veteran case as Ben Roethlisberger would want to help train your QB and would want to help and care about the team's success a little bit more, in my opinion.
Well, it's the same thing with Joe Flacco, where this offseason they kept asking him about Drew Lock, and he said, I'm not here to teach Drew Lock, I'm here to win games. And now he's 0-2, so...
That's just a mindset.
And I'm not very high on Drew Lock. As a Broncos fan, Drew Lock was a horrible pick, and I don't think he's going to go anywhere. So these Elway quarterback picks keep falling off.
I feel like it's definitely... It's manageable to put the team first and try and win as many games as you can, and at the same time just give a piece of advice to the young quarterback every now and then and try and just guide him in the right direction. I feel like that's more than easy to do. I don't know.
Why can't we all be like Eli?
Eli's a stud, man.
Look at this guy. Comes out here. I just wanted to touch on how I think that he is so fantastic on and off the field, because you see him, he runs in with the Giants, he wins 2 Super Bowls. I don't know the exact number, but it's a ridiculous career of the passing, of his passing and completion percentages and all that stuff. One, I don't know why they act like he's out, because if Daniel Jones doesn't do as well, they can easily put Eli back in.
I'll tell you right now, he's gonna be pretty good, but he has a very similar playing style to Eli. It's still the same coaching staff that is making Eli Manning look bad when he's not.
Well,
and it's an offensive line that is not only bad, but can only harbor Saquon Barkley, one of the most built running backs in the league, only having about 13 carries a game.
It's ridiculous.
No, well, hold on. It's going to be hard. I'm with Daniel Jones, I want to see him not replicate Eli. I want to see him do his own thing, even though they look so similar. And I feel like he is just like Eli's long-lost brother. We'll get that. That'll be a 30 for 30 in 10 years. Daniel Jones, the lost Manning.
He was trained by the Manning's QB coach in
college. And then what's gonna happen when Archie the third? What's his name? Who's the high school kid? comes up.
What do you mean?
There's another Manning.
There's another Manning?
Yeah. Oh my God. It's all. It was
I can't
like.
wait to be a Manning fan again.
Yeah. It was all over like Sports Center like a couple weeks ago. I'm gonna look it up now.
I know Cooper Manning was the prodigy of wide receivers heading up into the league.
The family injury beforehand.
Yeah, Cooper Manning. There was a chance because of how draft stock was going that Cooper Manning would have been a receiver on the Colts when Peyton was brought up. So,
jeez.
All right, here I have this kid. This kid is crazy. He's a freshman in high school. Everybody's talking about how he is just balling out.
Wait, what's his name?
Arch Manning, not Archie.
Arch.
It's Arch,
I like that.
which I freaking
So
love.
instead of Junior, he's Arch Manning June.
So yeah. No, I don't think he's a junior. He's Arch Man. Archman. I would love to call. Okay, here we go. His first varsity game, which happened earlier this month. He's the nephew of Peyton and Eli, and he's the son of Cooper, so he's Cooper's kid.
Oh.
He completed
The Cooper lineage.
The Cooper lineage. Let's go. The freshman single caller. He completed 24 of 34 passes for 234 yards with 3 touchdowns and 1 interception, and led his team to a 41-15 lead.
All right.
And wins. So,
that can mean anything in high school football.
It's high school, but
we obviously don't know where he's playing and if the other teams are good. Like, if that was a good team, then that's a pretty big win by that score.
Yeah, but he's a Manning, and all we're gonna care about is that he's good, and like people are just gonna hype him up.
Well, you asked about Eli Manning's career stats.
Yeah,
56,537 yards. That's about 7 yards per attempt. And he has 362 touchdowns, 241 interceptions, and 2 Super Bowl rings.
he's a good guy.
That's Hall of Famer.
That's Hall of Fame. He's gonna be a Hall of Fame. They're all gonna be Hall of Fame. That's not the point. I just think I just wanted to point out as much. I just love the fact that they said, Eli, you're not playing anymore, and he wasn't stuck up when he could have been, and he could have been like, well, that's my spot, and he puts team first, which I think is something that everybody should follow, no matter what situation, no matter what position. It's team first, because you're gonna get the ring if they win, and you're gonna get all the praise too, as being a mentor, because a prodigy or a player is only as good as his teacher. A student is only as good as the teacher. So I think that's important for all NFL teams.
So I know this was a very NFL heavy episode, but I know we all have a short amount of time to record this episode today. So we're going to head into our quick Week 3 predictions. This is about a 10 to 15 second prediction of a game. So I'm going to go through these, and we're going to
split them up, right?
Breaking this down. So all right, Jeremy, you ready? You're starting.
Okay.
Dolphins at Cowboys, 1 p.m. on Sunday.
It's going to be another embarrassing blowout. I feel like the Cowboys are going to score at least 40 points.
Hot take.
And subtext, Dak Prescott might be the best current playing quarterback based off of his stats this year.
They are good.
He is winning games. I am really fascinated to see where this Kellen Moore offense goes. Week 7, Eagles at Cowboys. I know that our household is going to be screaming.
Woo!
Sean is an Eagles fan, and we are not the biggest fans of the Eagles.
Go Birds!
All right, Sean. Bengals at Bills.
Oh, I got to find week 3.
Well, that's why I just said the game for you. I have it here.
I want to visualize it. Bengals at Bills. All day Bills Mafia. Let's go. I think that Josh Allen is a beast, and I think he's going to lead that team to victory. I do think it's going to be close because I think that the Bengals can match up pretty well with the Bills.
They're due for a win, too.
They are due for a win, so I think it's going to be pretty close. I think that the Bills continue their Bills Mafia, and I think they pull out a really close win. I think it's definitely under 10 points.
Under 10 points, that might be a hot take. I think if the Bengals were at home, I think they pull out the win in this one. But the coaching staff on the Bills has done a great job with utilizing Josh Allen to his strengths. They probably pull out the win in that one and move up to 3-0. But now I guess I'll take this one. Lions, Eagles in the link right across the river. Eagles they have way too many injuries. Their defensive secondary is absolutely horrible this season. They're ranked 31st in the league. in passing, and Matt Ryan and Julio Jones absolutely torched them last week. But
I wouldn't call it a torch.
Because of that, and I know Eagles fans will probably shoot me for this, but I don't think that O-line is as good as they have been saying for the last couple of years.
Best O-line in the league.
Was on the ground a lot. I think Matt Patricia is going to work up something, and the Lions will eke out a victory on the road this week.
And it will be an eke out. It will not be a huge one.
Jeremy, you have had back-to-back easy ones now. Jets, Patriots.
Come on,
Is it even a question? I feel okay. So, the Jets disappointed me last week because I was facing somebody in fantasy with the Browns defense, and the Browns defense suddenly just decided to be amazing that particular game. So, I feel like the Jets are one of the most pathetic franchises in football.
Oh.
Love that.
I think that
All about that.
they're just. I mean, their uniforms are disgusting. Their coach is just weird.
Preach.
I don't even know who their starting quarterback is right now.
Oh, it's
that
Luke
guy.
Falk. I looked it up for you.
Yeah.
Luke Falk. He is 199th pick in the draft this past year. Same exact number of pick as Tom Brady.
I feel like the Patriots are really lucky that they have like 2 or 3 of those like divisional games a year where it's always like the Dolphins and Jets. Like it's just basically confirmed wins for them. So yeah, I think the Patriots are going to blow them out of the water this week.
Okay. See, that was an easy one. But this is a tough one, Sean. This might be a fun one to talk about.
Yeah.
Falcons on the road taking on the Colts in Indianapolis.
Personally, I physically believe that.
Not mentally.
Fucking mic sucks, dude. This thing's like this XLR cable's like really.
Well, use Jeremy's mic.
Pull this thing over.
Here you go, bro.
Oh, thank you.
And we can just edit it.
Yeah. Okay, let's have a conversation about the Falcons. They're fantastic, and I love the Eagles, and they did a really great job against them this past week. And I think that the Falcons definitely take out the win. I'm not a big Colts fan. I don't think that they're good enough for the Falcons. I think Matt Ryan is always in the candidacy to be the best quarterback in the year. I think he is fantastic when he's fantastic. I think the Eagles was a huge boost and win for them. I also think Mohamed Sanu is a beast, and he's so underrated. And I think he's also coming out in this game, as well with Julio Jones, who's open 24/7 because of his Waffle House shoes. So, I think personally, I just think there is, while I think that the Colts are on their way up and they're doing really well, I think that the Falcons are a really exciting team right now, and I think they take that the win.
Wow, Sean, really high on the Falcons in this one.
Guy.
I mean, I think while Matt Ryan is always in contention as being one of the best QBs in the league, like you said, this season specifically, I think he's in contention with Kirk Cousins as having the most poorly thrown passes or poorly decided passes also. The Colts have been rolling. Their defense is solid. I have to disagree with you. I think the Colts take this one at home behind the great play of Jacoby Brissett, the best Tom Brady prospect.
Derek's a big Jacoby Brissett guy.
Jacoby Brissett, he's better than Jimmy Garoppolo. All right, Raiders Vikings. Wow. This is a snooze fest.
Yeah.
Thank goodness it's at the 1 o'clock hour because this sounds like something they would throw on at 4:25, and then you're just stuck with it.
It's mine? It's my turn?
Oh, is this one mine?
I think.
Oh yeah.
Yours.
All right, so it's my turn. But wow, snooze fest. Kirk Cousins has been playing horrible. Dalvin Cook needs to get a touchdown. The Raiders' defense is really bad though. So I'm gonna take the Vikings in this, probably by a lot. You guys agree?
I do. I don't know, dude. It's just like like you said, it's a snooze fest. Yeah.
I'm over here.
So moving on, Jeremy's turn now. I thought it was your turn before. Ravens Chiefs.
Oh,
as Sean is just awkwardly walking around the room. So sorry for that weird set of silence there.
I'm very excited.
His mic was not working.
I'm with Derek's now.
Okay, I'm very excited for this game. Lamar Jackson, the stud. Pat Mahomes, even though Derek, you're not that big of a fan of his.
He's just a bum, but I mean, I won't deny that he gets a ridiculous amount of stats.
I will say the no-look pass crap is stupid. And
it's crap.
Yeah, it's dumb. Anyways, this is going to be an exciting game, a really, really exciting game. I'm anticipating a shootout. I feel like the scores will be like in the 40s. It'll be like a
Woo.
45-43 type of game. I don't know. I feel like both quarterbacks are going to play amazingly, and I feel like it'll be decided by like a last-second field goal.
The Ravens' defense is top 5. Jim Harbaugh, right? Not John. John is the Michigan
John's the other
coach.
guy. Yeah.
Okay, Jim Harbaugh, still one of the best coaches in the league, and Ravens' offensive coordinator is doing a great job of putting Lamar Jackson in situations he can succeed in. I see this game being like a 22-19 Ravens win.
Oh.
I think the
completely
Ravens
the
have
opposite of
something
what-
up their sleeve. I mean, it is a tough game because it's on the road, but Lamar Jackson hasn't turned the ball over this year.
That's true. Yeah.
So as long as he doesn't do that, I think they'll be fine. Sean, Broncos-Packers tackling my team here.
Oh my God. Personally, I don't do enough research on these two teams to have the best prediction, but after just watching this season on the two teams, I think that it's got to be a Packers win. I think this is another one that's close. I think this is another one that's like the Falcons-Colts. I think it's something that's an extremely close game together, but I think that Vic Fangio is going to just come up really close, and I think that his team is pretty good. I just don't think there's Packers level. I'm like Adams and Rodgers, I think, are just waiting to creep out and have more fantastic looks, passes, completions, everything, and I think they're going to take I think it's going to be a pretty sizable win, honestly.
All right, speed round, 4 o'clock games, and on Panthers-Cardinals. The Panthers, Cam Newton has looked terrible this year. The Cardinals are due for a win, and I'm waiting for this Cliff Kingsbury amazing offense to actually kick in. But I think Kyler Murray is finally going to get a W here at home against the Panthers. Jeremy, Giants-Buccaneers?
Giants-Buccaneers. I think this is finally the week that Jameis Winston shows up. I think he plays just well enough to escape with a victory. Probably a low-scoring game, though.
Sean, Saints-Seahawks.
Drew Brees is injured. Russell Wilson isn't. That's my take.
That was really
Good
quick.
enough.
But I
That's
guess
it.
Good
what
enough.
I'll add in, I'm high on Jacoby Brissett. I'm high on Gardner Minshew. I am high on Taysom Hill.
Nope.
The Saints will be fine, but they probably lose this game. My turn. Texans-Chargers. Wow, are the Chargers this randomly streaky team
I know.
where they'll look like crap and then they'll look great the next week? The Texans put in a horrible offensive performance last week. I think they get a win on the road in basically a not home stadium since there's no Chargers fans in LA. Jeremy, Steelers-49ers.
Steelers-49ers. I feel like, I know we talked about him before, and I gave the impression that I'm not too high on him, but I feel like Mason Rudolph has a pretty good game this week, and I mean, it's already established that he has a pretty good chemistry with Smith-Schuster. I feel like Smith-Schuster has a big game this week because he's disappointed me in fantasy so far this year. And, Steelers win.
I don't know. I feel like you're only saying that because you don't know a lot about the Niners.
It's possible.
But their offense is rolling, so
Okay.
at home,
I don't know.
not sure if Mason's going to get his first career win, but we'll see.
We'll see about
Sean, Rams-Browns.
Okay, also, thanks, Jeremy. I also have Smith-Schuster in fantasy. Hope he does well. I also have Jarvis Landry in fantasy, and I think that we are ready to go on the Browns train. They had a little rough start to the season, but they are rolling. They will take down the Rams, the Super Bowl contending, almost champion Rams, okay? That I think that are still good, and I think that they still are going to put up a fight, and this is where the Browns show off, hey, here we go. We're coming for the victory run. We're coming for the hero run. Browns are going to take this one. Baker's going to light it up.
Sean, congratulations. You had the hottest take of the episode. I can't wait till Monday when I can rant about how overrated the Browns actually are.
I can't wait to talk about how rated they are because they're not over and they're not under.
Nobody says that. So moving on, I have the final one. Monday Night Football. Bears, Redskins. We'll probably preview this
Bears
in
suck.
strength on the Monday episode. The Bears suck. The Redskins suck. But Case Keenum hasn't turned the ball over. The second half Redskins defense this year is terrible, though. I think the Bears end up getting the win and they're back in contention. So, gentlemen, that is the episode. Sean is no longer on the mic, so I will say goodbye for him. And Jeremy, any last words for our first episode?
I just want to say that this was a really, really cool experience, and I really look forward to continuing our adventures on this podcast in the future.
All right, episode 1 of the Bros Sports Podcast in the books. Check us out on Monday. We'll be recapping Week 3, and we'll be talking about the final week of the MLB season, heading into the best time of year, MLB playoffs.
Woo!
Let's do it.
Football's better.
Thanks for listening, everybody. Make sure to subscribe. Make sure to follow us on all platforms, and we'll see you next time.